this game this weekend, South Carolina taking on Texas A&M. And again, I'm going to do a full breakdown later in the week, obviously, of the Aggies and stuff like that as we normally do. But we all kind of know what they've got to offer. Ranked 7th in the country right now, which feels a little high to me. I'm not going to lie. That feels a little high for A&M. But either way, top 10 team coming to town, coming to Williams-Brice for a night game at Willie B. Kellen Mond, Jimbo Fisher, we all know about those guys. Just talk about more so. I'm not going to ask you necessarily about the X's and O's and the inner workings of this game, but the importance of this one. Because I look at this game, Alex, and again, these are your last 5. A&M at home, at Ole Miss, Mizzou at home, Georgia at home, at Kentucky. You're 2-3 right now. And I said before the season, 5-5 or better to me should be the minimum expectation. Like if you want to sit there and look me in the face and try to justify, hey, we're building this program, we're headed in the right direction, whatever, despite anything I've ever said or anyone said. If you can get to 5-5 or better, I said, you know what? I'll at least, be able to just take that, whatever it is, whatever. To me, this one almost feels like the Tennessee of the second half of the season, in the sense that before the season, I said that the Tennessee game was a must-win as far as setting the tone and getting off on the right foot. And because, heck, I look at the first half of the season, and I'm like, man, if you'd have just beat Tennessee, keeping everything else the same, if you'd have just beat Tennessee and you were 3-2 at the break instead of 2-3, I think the entire outlook of your season is different. I just think the perception of it is completely different. And I just think if you're going to have a successful second half of the year, I'm not saying that, Texas A&M, that's a tough game for sure. They're a good football team, but you got to go on the road, a tricky one, to Ole Miss. And I think we're both very concerned about that one. Mizzou is playing better football. Kentucky is Kentucky. They've got that stingy defense, and Carolina has never played well in Lexington. And then Georgia's Georgia, right? So I just feel like, and again, the spread has come out. The Gamecocks right now sitting as a 7.5-point underdog at home. Maybe it's not quite as much a toss-up as Tennessee was, but I don't know, Alex. Just talk about your feelings on this game, where it ranks for you as far as importance, because I just think, again, if you're going to try to go on a run here in this second half of the season, at minimum, you have got to put on a good showing and protect your home field in some capacity. If you go out there and get blown out again like you did against LSU, start drafting up the resignation letter from Muschamp, basically. It's just these are these opportunities at home. You got to protect your home field and find a way to get the job done. To me, I think this is a really, really important game for South Carolina. Again, especially you're on national TV, you're in the spotlight yet again. What do you do with it? Where does this game sit for you? How do you view this game against A&M?
It's a tough game. A&M's a really good team, and they've got fourth year guy at quarterback.
Yeah. A lot of talent. They do have a lot of talent. I will give them that for sure.
Much better than he has previously. They got a lot of confidence coming in. So you look at it as like, can we win this game? Absolutely. I think certainly we have the talent to compete with Texas A&M. Anything less than a W is not going to get the job done
right
at the end of the day. So if we lose by 3, what it doesn't.
No, there's no moral victories. Like we've said before, there are no moral victories. Just like we said for Auburn, there are no moral victories. I agree with you 110% there. You got to find a way to get the dub. Again, I know A&M's a really, really good team, but also here's the other thing. We haven't even talked about this: the streak. You've lost 6 in a row to these guys. You've never beaten them. I just don't know as a program, again, that you can sit there and look me in the eyes with a straight face and say, this program's headed in the right direction when you have a 7-game losing streak to someone. I don't care who it is, the best team or the worst team. If you've got a 7-game losing streak to Texas A&M, that's bad. There's no way to sugarcoat that. So
no.
I think getting that monkey off your back, that's another huge storyline in this game as far as just finally breaking through against these guys. Because I think what's so frustrating about this series, South Carolina's had their chances against A&M. I know last year was a blowout, but really every other game, it's been down to the wire. And for whatever reason, Carolina hasn't made the plays, or they've given the game away in some capacity. I think breaking that streak is of utmost importance for this team and this program.
I agree. Yeah, no, I totally agree, because you got to be able to compete with the big dogs. You got to show that you can compete with the big dogs. And, knocking off Georgia and Auburn the last 2 years is great, but it's a sustained success or consistency
Right.
in that program where you're going to be competitive every single week that I think everybody's really looking for. And, sure, like, being competitive puts you in a position to where, those W's are more attainable than, us sitting here spinning a roulette wheel, wondering which team's going to come out of the tunnel
Mm.
on Saturday.
Yeah.
Is it going to be all is it guys that played Auburn or is it guys that played LSU?
Yeah, and that's what scares me too. And not to like spoil my prediction or anything, but the biggest thing, because I agree with you, I think South Carolina could win this football game, but is it Jekyll or is it Hyde? Which team can you trust South Carolina to show up and play their best football game on this stage against A&M? Again, the game being at home certainly helps. I know it's a COVID crowd, it's 20%, but either way, South Carolina just seems to play better at home. I was having this conversation with somebody and we were kind of joking. They were like, yeah, I don't know why. It seems like every road game I go to for Carolina, they play bad. And I'm like, we've just never been a good road team. Like, no offense to the teams you were on, but like, we've always done much better, it feels like, at least at the friendly confines. And maybe that's true for every team. I don't know, but I think the game being at home certainly is an advantage. But again, which team shows up? Like, can you trust South Carolina to show up under the lights in a big-time matchup? Because, again, unfortunately, I know you beat Auburn, not taking it away, but still, for the most part, these moments are where Will Muschamp teams have not shown up for whatever reason.
Well, and two, going back to the Doty rumor, the other piece of that is concerning to me from a which team shows up standpoint is that this was called for by the players.
And again, it's all rumors. So
it's
but if true, but hypothetically, just to have, if true, that's concerning.
It is.
Yeah, and like I told you in the, off air before the show. I mean, honestly, and take this however you want, if we've got players in the locker room pointing the finger at the quarterback, but not pointing it at the defense, I have some questions. I genuinely have some questions because right now I was taking a look at the stats. You're scoring 29 points per game on average. You're giving up 30. So, I mean, you tell me what the problem is. So